We've got Bruno in the middle. Yes, indeed, everyone. Hope you did after Newcastle have came away with a narrow 2-1 victory over Fulham. It doesn't matter how you win, as long as you get the win. Welcome, everybody. Hope you did We're going to dissect the game. I've got home, seen the highlights. So I can say a couple of things like I didn't catch the first half of the match reaction, which we hit the woodwork twice. Didn't even know that until you've seen the highlights. That's the beauty about doing this a little bit later. But so Newcastle came away with 3 points. We're going to have a look and the lineups. We'll go through the game. We'll hear from Eddie Howe, of course, as well. And we'll check a couple of stats in the league table out as well. Drop us a like on this video. That would be wonderful. As ever, Bally Bet sponsoring us today. You can see the QR code to me. There it is right there. That QR code right there and the link in the description. If you bet a tenner, you will get £20 back in free bets. So get yourselves on it. Please gamble responsibly. And of course, if you're having a flutter on this weekend's sport or with Newcastle's game coming up with Spurs in midweek, please gamble responsibly. But yeah, not a bad deal, is it? A tenner, and you get 20 quid back. Happy days. Bally. So let's get cracking then. So the lineups then, let's take a look how Newcastle lined up. And there was one change in the starting 11, which was seeing Joe Linton come in for Ramsey. It was interesting to see what Eddie Howe would go with because Miley got the nod, and Miley was the most steepest today, so he's favouring Lewis Miley currently at the moment. Obviously, we know that Tonali is recovering from his illness, and he got a good length of minutes coming off the bench a little bit later. And Harvey Barnes, would he start after his 2 goals? For me, if a player comes off the bench and scores 2 goals, he deserves to start. So what does that say about Harvey Barnes? But again, Harvey Barnes did get half an hour later on. So that was a Newcastle lineup. And of course, we're still waiting on Vissa. He should be back next weekend. And of course, Lewis Hall and Tino Livramento, the other 2 injuries. Fulham, on the other hand, made a whopping 6 changes. Did that hamper them? There were 1,700 Fulham fans, just 3 banks. They don't always bring massive support, but fair play to the ones that did come all the way up to Tyneside. But let's get on then. So the game first half then, for what I can remember, I think that we are a little bit fortunate to get in at half-time 1-0 up. Because Fulham did threaten our goal. Nick Pope had to make a save. There was a couple of blocks, a couple of shots that way in the side as well. And they were gaining a little bit of momentum, I felt like, in Fulham in the first half. But we had chances at the end. Nick Valdemada, thanks to seeing that back on the highlights, hit the post at the other end of the Gallagher. We thought it was a save or a block on the line. And then obviously Jacob Murphy with his cross shot that hit, I think Leno gets a save on it, hits a post as well. But Murphy is played through on goal. He's 1-on-1. He goes a little bit wide. We know what he's going to do. It's a good finish. Maybe the goalkeeper should be questioned because it's not the most powerful shot. Murphy's gone with accuracy. As long as he get out on target, make the keeper work. Unfortunately, Leno couldn't keep it out and Newcastle gone 1-0 up. But Murphy should realistically be putting these other chances back through on goal. He's 1-on-1. Fulham's defences are all over the place. And he's through and realistically, and now the keeper saves it. But Jacob Murphy's got to be scoring there. He's got to put the game to bed and make it 2-0. And it would have been a lot less uncomfortable for the Toon. That should have been 2-0. But we were really, really sloppy, I have to say, in that first half. So many players giving the ball away. Gordon, Bruno, I think Malik Chow gave the ball away once. Who else was there? There was 1 or 2. Miley as well. A couple of times Louis Miley giving the ball away. It was just repetitive. It was like, considering the win that we've had in midweek, a great win against Benfica, you want to kick on, and the performance wasn't quite there. Now we went on to score, which we'll talk about next, but there was just signs it was just how we in Newcastle, you're very lethargic at the back and sloppy, and giving Fulham a little bit of confidence. But we got the goal, as I say, through Jacob Murphy, going into half-time 1-0 up. And I said that at half-time, I thought we were quite fortunate to be that way. And then the second half, you just want that second goal just to kill the game off. And Fulham equalised. You probably say that it was deserved, in all honesty, up until that point where there's a cross on the left-hand side and Jimenez, initially from the Gallagher, we thought he headed it, but it was a volley that hit the underside of the bar. And then there's Lukic, who was back in the Fulham lineup today, literally has a tap in from 2 yards. Obviously, Sven Botman went down with an injury and he was replaced by Fabian Schär. And then Eddie Howe also made other changes, as I mentioned, Harvey Barnes and Tonali. So it was a triple sub instantly as we conceded. But looking at the goal, maybe it should be tighter. Raul Jimenez, potentially you look at that. But I think Fulham are a little bit fortunate that it hit the underside of the bar and there was a tap in to be had. But you've got to follow up as Bruno did later on. But Fulham have equalised and Newcastle didn't kick on straight away. It was probably another 10 minutes or so until Newcastle really started to play and Fulham were getting deeper and deeper as the game was nearer and nearer. I have to say the last 25 minutes, Newcastle were brilliant, similar to what we were in against Benfica. It was like, where's it been in the first 65 minutes? We were peppering Fulham, we were having shot after shot. Bruno had a header, Golden had a free. How's he not put that away? He also had a shot just outside the box that went just wide. Tonali outside the boot, that would have been some goal. Leno was forced into a save. I think Joe Linton hit the side netting as well. There was loads of chances we were peppering the goal, and obviously Eddie Howe did make a couple of further changes as well. And Valdemada looked absolutely knackered, and the substitution for Osula made sense. Osula was an impact because what he was doing, he was harassing the defence and he's using his pace. Now, obviously, Newcastle, and fair play Anthony Langa, who was a little bit hit and miss, I felt, coming off the bench. He nicks the ball back, and Newcastle are on the attack on the right-hand side. And obviously, Osula cuts in. And yes, you can pick point. You maybe should have played Bruno in anyways. But Osula, what he was doing, he was causing the Fulham defence to back off with his pace. Because that goal doesn't happen if Nick Valdemada's on the pitch. Because he's a different type of player. He wants to hold the ball up and technique and play people in. Whereas Osula's right. He's just a very, very much a hyper person, isn't he? He runs at them. Leno saves it. It comes back to Bruno. Similar. You might say it's fortunate, but you've got to follow up like Lukic did for their goal. Bruno then... he's there to make a 2-1 in the 90th minute. The fans are going absolutely wild. It was just phew that we got the winner. And it was coming, to be fair. It's just, can you break down a defence that's very defensive? And we've been accused by our own set of fans, including me, myself, including others, that Newcastle struggle to break down teams when they're co-defensive. And thankfully, that paid off today and we got 3 points and the scenes were absolutely class at the end. But Newcastle, of course, got the 3 points. That's most important. We'll talk about players in a second, but this is what Eddie Howe said about the win today.
Yeah, I don't think the performance was bad. Definitely the result we were looking for. Difficult game today. Can't underestimate the challenge of Tuesday to Saturday. Emotions, playing a very difficult opponent. Delighted with how we found a way to win. Late goal at home. There's no better way to win, arguably. And I thought the strongest part of our performance was the last 20, 25 minutes, half an hour, and that pleases me because that means the squad's in a good place. The attitude of the guys coming on the pitch was excellent. I'm really pleased with Will because he's not 100% fit. He's nursing an ankle problem, so we've got to try and manage him correctly. But I think you've seen, everyone that's watched us, big development in his game, big change in his confidence levels because of that. He's coming on the pitch and influencing matches, and he's got great attributes. Today he did really, really well, I thought, to choose the right time to shoot, and Leno's made a good save, but our captain's there to finish off the move, so it's a massive goal for us.
So, thank you very much, Mr. Howe. Newcastle got 3 points. Let's take a look at the league table, shall we? So, this is currently being live. We'll refresh that. There we go. It's 3-0. Man United are absolutely hammering Brighton at the minute. This is currently obviously being filmed at that stage as well, but that will not affect Newcastle positions. We're now up to 10th, which looking a little bit better. 12 points for 9 games. Sunderland in the dizzy heights of second place. That's a lot of... we've got to give them praise because they have started off fantastic well. And so Arsenal top of the league, Sunderland second, Man City third, Man United fourth, Liverpool fifth, Bournemouth sixth. We're doing in 10th place. So Newcastle starting to climb the Premier League table slowly but surely. But we are 10th now. If you look a little bit further down the Premier League table, Wolves still without a win. Obviously, there is games to be played tomorrow. But Newcastle are up to 10th slowly and surely. It was important that we won because I did say in midweek that we kind of just play well against Benfica and not win against Fulham. We'll have to beat these side of teams if we're going to get back into the Champions League. And here's other stats courtesy of the BBC. So expected goals, that's predicted stat really 2. Fulham 1.5. Newcastle had 18 shots to their 12. There's not huge gulf in difference between the two. Obviously, they've hit the woodwork once. We've hit it twice. We've had 18 shots. They've had 12, 7 against 5. There's not huge differences between the two. And passing accuracy a little bit better. But there isn't a massive difference between the two. And look, there wasn't anybody who was a standout performance today. I don't feel like, wow, he's a 9. I really don't. I think there was quite a lot of players that are probably 6 and 7 if we did do score on the players. Malik Chow, I thought second half was brilliant. He was moved to left centre back. I thought he was a calming presence in the defence, considering we were going after the game. Bruno obviously is going to take the headlines with his goal, but I thought Valdemada was quiet today, but we can forgive him for that. He's playing every game at the minute because we need Vissa back, which is going to be brilliant for next weekend. And Vissa, Eddie Howe's talked about him, saying, look, he needs more or less the pre-season effect to get him up to the run of speed. So expect Vissa to be a substitute for quite a few games until he's in the momentum. But it'll be great if he's sitting on the bench next weekend. Louis Miley did okay. A couple of balls given away, but he looks like he's getting the nod ahead of a couple of other players at the moment with Ramsey and Willock. It seems that Miley's sitting in fourth choice at the moment. It's not good to see him back as well. But there isn't anybody who's like, oh wow, because Murphy got his goal, should have scored another one. Alanga was a threat. Asula was a threat with the pace afterwards. But it was a job done. It was hard work. It was a good old professional win. Right, everyone, we're going to wrap up there. The system that we're using is having some teething problems, so we will wrap up there. Drop us a massive like and let us know in the comments down below how you felt the day went. Who stood out for you? Do you rotate all of the team or some of the team for Spurs on Wednesday night? We'll see you very soon here on Newcastle Fans TV.